We'll spend the last 20 minutes or so just kind of reflecting together, both in person and online. Where do we go from here? There we go. Okay, so just to start, you can take about 2 minutes just to reflect for yourself on what are some things that you've learned today or one new thing that you learned today. We'll should all be able to see everyone's answers. I'll make sure the settings are fixed for that. So far we've seen ask questions. Someone learned that there are typewriters that were the typewriter was initially created for a disabled person. While the answers are coming in, I'll just kind of share like an overall reflection of the day. We heard obviously from 5 really excellent speakers from different disciplines, different settings, different academic settings, both university and high school, across different provinces. We also had a lot of posters. I hope you were able to check them out, but everything from sort of how neurodiversity is portrayed in Francophone media to large language models and how they might be influenced by ableism. And obviously, we also had a lot of really cool exhibitors from across the University of Calgary and the City of Calgary sharing just some of the different perspectives on supports for people with disabilities. I'm seeing some more things. People with disabilities are actually the largest minority group. Maps are subjective. The ABCD shared by Bonnie. And ableism is complex and it involves a lot of different perspectives coming and working together. And so that's why hopefully today you're able to meet people from outside your traditional discipline or area of work and just think about things differently. It takes more than just one type of person as well. It's not just a student or faculty or staff or community members who are going to create change. It's going to take a lot of different people working on different aspects: research, policy, education. Hopefully you're able to connect here, meet mentors. People learned about accessibility issues in built environments that might go unnoticed, and intersectionality was mentioned. The academic interview process. Give you a couple more minutes here. There's over 900,000 people identify as disabled, or 96,000 people identify as disabled in Alberta. Inaccessibility of medical facilities. It's awesome. So lots of learning, which is great. The next one we'll start here. And feel free, if you're sitting with someone, you can take a couple minutes to discuss this, but what's a feasible change? So something that you actually could do, something perhaps small today or tomorrow to address ableism in your space. Maybe it's a different way of doing something procedurally, a different way of thinking about something. What are some thoughts people have? Again, if you can't use Slido, feel free to raise your hand, or one of our volunteers can help you. No umbrella stands in front of elevator buttons or door buttons. Considering wearing a mask. Find my pillow fort pals. Bringing more awareness. Asking people what they would like. Asking more. Looking at obstacles and actually reporting them. So I like that it was shared about what Statistics Canada collects. So our research lab does a lot on walking aids, and it's true that actually data on walking aids in Canada from people living on First Nations reserves, people living in long-term care facilities, people under the age of 15, people living in hospitals, none of that gets collected. And so it makes doing our research a bit challenging. So if you don't record it, you're not measuring it, sort of like what Dr. Fast shared, it goes invisible. People are going to be advocating for change and including people with disabilities with rather than at the disability community. Asking with clients, what should I know? Where are you now? How can I help you get to where you want to go? Based on Dr. Christensen's suggestions. And more aware of perhaps physical space. That's great. We'll just move on to the next one. And I should have mentioned at the beginning, but We will be collecting these answers and kind of generating a little report. And so this is one big one. If you had the opportunity to change one big thing, oh, hand up. Go ahead, Bonnie. Do you mind speaking a bit louder? Yes. Sure. I'll just try to summarize it for people in the audience here online that might not have heard. So it's Dr. Bonnie Leischwitz, who is a professor in community rehabilitation and disability studies. Try to get it all. So first, kind of talking a little bit about the importance of intersectionality. So Dr. Christensen's talk was kind of mentioned, you know, the sweetheart term, the intersection of ableism and disability, or ableism and ageism. And so intersectionality just being a really key concept that was brought out today. Looking at that, I'm going to forget the other points. Someone help me out in the room. Yes, caregivers. So valuing the work of caregivers. So Dr. Leischwitz does a lot with aging communities. And so not diminishing that work that's often done by females, often done by people of color, and really valuing that work. And that comes down to, you know, where healthcare dollars are spent as well. We see that how people value things is how things are done. And so changing our mindsets about that. And then the last point from Stephanie's case. Yes, put your hands on your hips and be entitled. So just embracing that having diversity and ability is kind of a normal and natural thing, and that we all are entitled to take up space and have the same rights and dignity as anyone else. Thank you. It was a good team effort. So yes, as I was saying, I do think it's important that people in positions of power are hearing what's coming out of today, and those people might not necessarily be in the room. So this next question is one that we are hoping to circulate to some of those individuals. So if money and time and resources were not a barrier, and you could change one big thing within the University of Calgary over the next 10 years, based on what you've learned today or your own experience, what would that be when it comes to ableism? Your pie in the sky dream. And we know that there's a lot that needs to be changed. I thought people were writing essays, but it looks like that poll was hidden. Let me just fix that. Okay, accommodations first, proof of disability later, making this sort of anti-ableism work a priority ASAP, training the next generations of researchers across all disciplines to recognize some of these issues, mandatory training courses for all faculty and instructors. They needed to be here today, so please, again, the recordings will be emailed out. Please do circulate them and share them with people who might benefit. Like one thing that we do in our lab, for example, is in addition to journal clubs and traditional things that we do as a lab, we'll watch kind of interesting videos like this and just talk about it. What do they mean? What do we think about that? How could we apply that to our own lab setting? Ensuring all clinics have universal access, hiring more disabled people, integrating mandatory accessibility classes into every degree and relating it to real life examples. User-centered renovations, that's a big one. Please share anything with Dr. Fast. She's got a lot of connections. More accommodations for people with chronic conditions. New buildings with accessibility in mind. So for sure, building new buildings. Bonnie shared a little bit, but she was involved with the design and building of I-Cord, and that made a big difference to how things are in there. And she didn't show her all the pictures, but even the elevator is completely accessible. So on every part of the wall is a different large push button to push the exact floor that you want. So even if you're in a wheelchair or your service animal is trained to do that, that was a lot of thought put into that building, and that's made a big difference for people who might not have disability experiences to even just be aware that that could be something to think about. Have board members, people in power, learn more about living with a disability and how many of their students and staff are less able to successfully do things because of the barriers that they face. Free tuition, I love that intersectionality. Making sure that the full spectrum of abilities is on the radar of leadership teams, required courses, changing the 2D Braille signs, including more lighting and benches around the campus. And like I said at the beginning, it is interesting that we're not necessarily forced to have everything in older buildings. It's just the newer buildings that are forced to meet the latest design standards for accessibility. So I think, again, if you see something, say something and keep pushing for it. Surrounding yourself with different voices. More breaking barriers days, we'll get to that. I love that. Making this as a course requirement for everyone. Making every building truly accessible, not performative. And having more people with disability in leadership positions. Fantastic. Okay, so this is your next chance to have a really, really big ask. If you could speak directly to someone such as the manager of infrastructure or a dean or senator, someone in UCalgary leadership about ableism, what would you want them to know? Disability is not a bad word. You can do better. That's sort of the hand on the hips, maybe even a principal moment. Disability is not a dirty word, and disabled people deserve the same access. And our insights are valuable, and academia is missing out. Better accessibility impacts everyone. It's your responsibility to do better. Preserving autonomy. Reducing stigma. And now we have data showing where the barriers are. And I would say that that's a big one that we can still keep doing a lot of work on. I've kind of given a few talks before, so we talked a little bit about how physicians do have a lot of power. So those of us who are maybe academics, leaders of a lab, leaders even of a committee, like leverage that power, use your voice, even if it's at a small level. I don't believe in hierarchy, but if it exists, how can we leverage it? Just use your imagination, check your privilege. Everyone is only temporarily abled, and we have some academic papers about that as well on our website. Oh, this is great. It sounds like overall people have found this to be helpful. Stop being performative. Awesome. Okay, so a few people want to see another breaking barriers. So I'll just quickly share what's next. So we were able to get a grant to sort of run this event through the Institutes of Transdisciplinary Studies, as well as a lot of sponsorship from many of the medical institutes. I mentioned at the outset that we had it at this campus this year and sort of brought in the speakers that we did for more of the study or the audience coming from like community rehab and disability studies, health sciences, medicine, nursing. But obviously, there's a lot of other places and spaces and people on campus that we'd want to share this with. And so next year, we're thinking about having this on main campus. If anyone's interested in helping, collaborating, please do let us know. Reach out to our lab. And please let us know in the survey if you're comfortable sharing your personal information. But basically, we hope to build on this. Hopefully, today was the starting point of developing some networks, perhaps some mentorship or peer mentorship, so that you're not doing this alone. This isn't something that any of us can do alone, as Dr. Piers was mentioning. We don't want to burn out. We want to make this sustainable. So hopefully, you're able to work with some of the resources that we met with today. It's really going to take a lot of us, including allies, to keep moving this agenda forward and keep pushing for some of this. So I do want to just move in next to some big congrats and thank yous. So first off, congratulations to all of our poster presenters. Let's give them a round of applause. They put a lot of hard work in, and I see that we have someone. Are you ready? Okay, come on up. This is Gabby. I'd also like it if we can give Gabby a big round of applause, please. So Gabby has been working tirelessly. All of our volunteers and the McKeag operations staff and Gabby have put in hundreds of hours to make this event happen, but Gabby's going to help us present our award winners. So, oh, perfect. Give us 1 minute here. If you're comfortable coming up, we will be taking a picture of all of our award winners as well. So again, there's stairs down the center and the ramp on the left. So we had several award categories. I'll move on to the next slide. I didn't get the results in time to add them to the slides, but we'll start off with the undergraduate award winners. So in third place, we have Grace Ilori, who presented on exploring the surgical journey of patients with adult spinal deformity, a thematic analysis. Congratulations. And if you're not here, oh, you're here, perfect. And if you don't mind just waiting at the front, we'll have a group picture at the end. That's awesome. And then in second place, we had Maida Arif and Manuel Digibruni, who presented on ableism, disableism, ableist, and disablest, a review. And we can also give it to Dr. Wolbring, representing the lab at the end. And in first place, Dua Azim Chaudhry, the representation of neurodiversity in Francophone media, a qualitative film analysis of autism portrayals. Congratulations. Did you want to come down, Dr. Wolbring, to get the award on behalf, or? It's up to you. If you want to, you don't have to. We can take one outside. Yeah, we can take a photo afterwards outside. That's no problem. Sure. Do you guys mind going on up and we'll just get a group photo? Just at the back. Perfect. Congratulations again. Okay, so we'll move on to our graduate award winners. So in third place, we have Isabella Hay, Play with Purpose, Feasibility of an Adapted Physical Activity Program for Children with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. Congratulations. Perfect. And in second place, Park Bumstead, Resilience at the Intersections and Online Ethnographic Study. Congratulations. If you don't mind waiting at the front. And in first place, Erin Nowakowski, Collaborative Futures for Care and Ethnographic Exploration of Disability Policy in Alberta. It is a steep ramp, so just to warn you. Amazing, congratulations. Lastly, we had a faculty and staff category. So in third place, Dr. Sarah Dobrowolski, Knowledge and Awareness of Disability Accommodations and Human Rights Legislation amongst postgraduate medical residents, a cross-sectional study. Congratulations. And in second place, we had Jasmeet Sekon, a novel video feedback-based tool improves confidence in using walking aids, a pilot randomized controlled trial. Evan can accept it on her behalf if you're comfortable. And then in first place, Dr. Cyril Favre, Fighter's Journey, Autism as Told by Mothers in Francophone Testimonies and Media. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations again. So for all of our award winners, I know that this was probably mentioned when you applied, but there is a $200, $100, and $50 cash prize, and McKaig will get that to you. It will be an e-transfer by email, so keep your eyes posted. So big thank you to all of our poster judges listed here. We really couldn't have done this without all of them putting in the time and effort during a busy lunch break to try to make sure that they interacted with everyone. So thank you so much. And to Dr. Dobrowolski, who joined us from the University of Alberta as well, who acted as one of the co-chairs for the research abstract and poster part of the day. Thank you. So as I mentioned, there was a lot of people that made this day happen, and it's been probably 7 months in the planning. So specifically, we mentioned Gabby, but Dr. Karen Leonard, Yvonne Durnan, Kathleen Thibault, and Stephanie Symington from McKaig, we really appreciate all of their help with a lot of the event logistics. Dr. Cheryl Barnaby, Mary Baby, and Sarah Jevnikar, who helped us a lot with accessibility. And then we had a number of student volunteers, so Rachel Dye, Esther Famuera, Donald Golden, Evan Knox, Amanat Panech, and Jasmeet Sekon, and then our photographer, Quentin Collier. So thank you all so much for everything that you did today. If you know any of these people, please give them a personal thanks on your way out. And again, a big thank you to our guest speakers. They spent a lot of time working with me to figure out who the audience was, how can we craft a talk, where do we start? There's so many different knowledge levels coming in. Some of them even traveled great distances to come here. So again, thank you all so much. And a final thank you to our sponsors who I acknowledged at the beginning. Again, we really couldn't have done this. We couldn't have had the AV support to make this event hybrid, to have the recordings that cost money, the lunch, the snacks, the exhibitors, everything. So again, thank you so much to our sponsors. So everything today was important, but this is extremely important. These links will also be emailed to you today. But we appreciate, for those of you in the room, doing the in-person attendees questionnaire and the people online doing the virtual attendees questionnaire. This will help give us tangible things that we can share with potential funders, with leaders at the University of Calgary, sharing why events like this matter, what people got out of it, and also where we need to be focusing our efforts in the future. I know that it wasn't perfect. That's why we're having events like this. There's a lot of barriers even today that I know many people experienced. And so we're all here to learn, how can we make this better? I'd really appreciate if you're all able to do the survey. So the last thing we will do while people are doing the survey, I'll ask Quentin to come up to the front. And he's going to try to take a photo if anyone's not comfortable with having their photo taken in the room, but try to take a photo of people who are in the room. If it doesn't work, we will decide to go outside to get a photo. But we're going to give it a try. Those of you online, if you're comfortable, you are able to turn on your cameras, and Gabby will be taking a photo of people who are online as well. Okay, so that concludes the formal part of today, but we do have an hour left for any networking, chatting. You can visit the exhibitors. We do ask you leave by 4, just because we have to start cleaning up, but that's a big part of the event for those of you who are here in person. Just try to reach out, meet new people, develop some collaborations. And again, those of you online, please do check out the links shared from the exhibitors, the research abstracts, and please do feel free to reach out to the speakers and poster presenters online. Thanks everyone for a great day.